Happy Monday. I hope everybody had a good Monday. I didn't stumble on the day this time. I can't speak, but I'm going to do this video called The Worst Teachers I've Ever Had. And I've been meaning to do this video for months. Like, I tried to do it a few months ago, but it was just, I was stumbling over my words really badly, and it wasn't working out. But I actually have notes on my iPad now about the teachers that I really hated, the teachers I liked. I wrote down the teachers I liked, even though I'm not going to say it, because that's not this video. I even gave all my teachers grades, like what I would grade them. It's really a lot of stuff I wrote, and I was writing this at like midnight last night, like I didn't have school the next morning, and I kid you not, it's a stress acne. It's like right here. As I was thinking about my teachers and how much I hated them and the things that they did, and just I was thinking a lot, and this just appeared last night. I was like, what in the world? But okay. So to prevent this video from being too long, I'm not gonna go through all of the teachers. I'm gonna go through the worst ones, because I have about 10 teachers here, 15, and there's more to come, but it's like, let me focus on the bad ones. And I'm gonna hide their names just so I won't get attacked. But if anyone is watching this video, even though I don't think you would watch this video, but if anyone who's watching this video knows the teacher I'm speaking of, you don't know the teacher I'm speaking of. Okay, let's start with elementary school. I went to a private elementary school. It was like 40 kids in the whole school. And I kid you not, I had 40 kids in my class one year, and that's 40 kids in the whole school. It's like really small school. And the class I was in was 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. They like grouped all us together in a classroom. And I think now they have kindergarten up there too, grouped them all in the classroom, but you know, it's stupid. But my teacher in that class, we'll call him Mr. Squarehead because his head was square. But, okay. I did not hate Mr. Squarehead. It's like, I had some friends who they said they hated him and everything, but I didn't hate him because when I was in elementary school, I didn't have hate like that. I was at a Christian school and everything. It was like, I didn't have hate in my heart, even when all this bullying was going on and all these awful people. I never hated them. It was just, why are you doing that? And matter of fact, I didn't even really question it. It just happened and I would go about my days. I'm the big exception. I did not let the bullying get to me until like 7th grade. But basically, anyways, I was bullied badly in elementary school, and I could do a whole separate video on how bad it was. But yeah, people would mess with me, and the main thing that got stuck in my mind from elementary school, the main thing that people would call me was weird. But now, I mean, yeah, I'm weird. I take that as a compliment now. I'm very weird. I'm going to flaunt it now. But at the time, I was weird. And that was the insult. So that was an insult. I was weird. But basically, Mr. Squarehead, he was aware of the bullying that was going on. He knew that he knew, you know, he basically knew what was going on. Let me just say that. And instead of approaching the kids and telling them to stop or maybe handling the situation better, he pulls me to the side one day. I remember this. He pulls me like to the back of the classroom, and he's talking to me like at his desk. And he says, I forgot the exact words, but he's basically like, there's some kids and they're not saying nice things, and basically he was basically telling me that I should change my attitude, stop being so weird, just chill out, so they would stop. Instead of like approaching those kids and telling them to stop, he approaches me, the victim, and tries to get me to change. Like, that's horrible. And let me tell you this, he was a teacher, but he was also the principal of the school, and I'm absolutely shocked. his kids went to the school and everything, and I was like, if it was your kids being bullied, would you tell them to stop acting the way that they're acting, or would you do something different? Because I was honestly a little bit shocked. Now, of course, I didn't let that bother me, but I was looking back on it, I'm shocked. It's like, so that's what you do? See, that's the problem with bullying nowadays. See, like, y'all teachers and counselors, just y'all not handling it the way you should be. Because that whole episode with the bullying and stuff could have resulted a lot different. I'm not going to say how. But if I wouldn't have been so cool about it, it could have resulted a lot differently. And I think I actually did come home one day crying about it. Can't remember. But anyways, the next incident that he did was, I don't know what grade we were in. I don't even think I was in his class yet. I wasn't even in the 6th grade. I was maybe 3rd, 4th, 5th. Because they're all grouped in a classroom too. But I must have been young. But it was like a big leaf pile. And me and all the other kids, we were jumping in a leaf pile. And me being a friend, not being a friend, me being a kid, I was jumping in a leaf pile, throwing the leaves up, I was having a good time. This man, Mr. Squarehead, decides that it would be okay to grab me extra hard, yank me out of the leaf pile, and yell in my ear, "Stop throwing the leaves, you're getting them in people's eyes, stop!" And then he's just yelling and yelling and yelling. He's grabbing me and he's yelling in my ear, like he is literally like an inch away from my face, and he's yelling. And then he pushes me over to the curb and he tells me to go sit down, basically because I'm on timeout or something. And looking back on that day, I don't think he would have gotten away with that. I'm shocked. He had some sort of anger issue or something. It's like, what? But if that were my child and you grabbed her like that and was yelling in her ear and pushing her, I don't know, but am I the only one who, I'm feeling not a lawsuit, but like you're not gonna get away with that. It's like, you don't put your hands on my child and don't push her and don't yell at her like that. It wasn't that serious. And then he was trying to make up and be all nice afterwards. I'm like, no, what? I think that was what I was crying about when I got home. I think I told my parents about that, but I forgot what they did. But if it would have been my kid, let me not even get into that. And the last thing he did that really pissed me off, he probably did 1,000 things that pissed me off, but the last thing was he basically lied to my parents. And when you know how like the teachers be like, they're not paying attention or they're not doing this, that, and the other, and it's not really the case. But basically, he lied to my parents and he said I wasn't paying attention, but I kid you not, especially when he was teaching math, I was the main one asking questions. I was like, let me get to know this. I was asking questions. And I guess I was, I don't know, was I asking a question that, he already went over? Or I don't know, but basically I graded him a D because I guess he wasn't, well, yeah, he was piss poor horrible, but yeah, he gets a D. And that's elementary school. Let's see, who's the worst teacher that I've ever had in middle school? Give me a minute to think. Okay, I have 2 stories. I have one story about this guy, and he wasn't a teacher, but he was like a school, I guess he substituted some classes. And if you got this guy, we'll call him Mr. Turtle, because he looked kind of like a turtle. I don't know, I'm weird, but basically Mr. Turtle, if you got him like subbing your class, he was the coolest. And I'm not gonna lie, Mr. Turtle was freaking cool. He would tell us stories and he was just cool. Mr. Turtle was cool. So basically Mr. Turtle kind of was joking around, because this was 7th grade. I was in honors classes, so I had an honors class. And basically he was joking around talking about, is this class really honors? Because y'all are acting kind of like you regular kids or slow kids or something. And me being oversensitive, like, I was like, wait a minute, we're honors kids, we're not slow, don't call us that. So I could have went and approached him, but you know me, that's not how I am. So I wrote a letter and I gave it to him. And I think I gave it to like a handful of other teachers too. But I gave it to him when it was his turn to read it. And he storms back into the classroom, says he has an announcement to tell us, and he yells basically, somebody has the nerve to write me a letter saying they don't like the way I talk to this class. And then it was like blah 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 blah. He kept yelling and yelling and yelling. And then, oh my goodness, everybody, of course I'm sitting there embarrassed, crying. And everybody's like, who wrote the letter? Who wrote the letter? And they just, I was like, it was me. But luckily, they thought it was another girl. So I was like, you know what? That's good. It wasn't me. But yeah, as cool as Mr. Turtle was, that was extremely, extremely unnecessary and immature. That's all I'm going to say. You were amazing. But that episode, you're wrong. And that's why you got a D. But let's see. I have other teachers here from middle school. I'm not going to talk about that because it's too many. Another teacher I had, she wasn't bad. And a matter of fact, I thought she was funny and I thought she was actually cool. But let me tell you some things about her that were kind of weird. We're going to call her Miss P. Miss P, she was Muslim. And, you know, she wore the headscarves and everything. She was Muslim. And basically, an issue that rose in the class, I'm not sure who said something or whatever, but somebody went and told somebody, I guess some authority, that she was trying to convert us to Muslim. Because you know how in the schools you can't, it's weird with the religion and everything, you can't, that's another video. But basically she talked and talked and talked and talked about how she's not trying to convert us to Muslim, who thinks that she's trying to convert us to Muslim, and blah 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 blah. Miss P, she would talk about her life a lot. It's like wasting class period just talking about your life, which I really enjoyed, but just wasting time talking about you. And she had, I guess it was acne, which I'm not gonna make fun of her for that too much because I have acne. Like I said, this thing appeared last night when I was writing this, but it was the way her acne was. It was just like in this area she had an acne beard, and I'm like, that's terrible. But her voice was also really annoying, even though you get used to it. You really get used to it once you listen to it a lot. And in her class, since I was the quiet one, this was 8th grade year. Yeah, 8th grade. In her class, since I was the quiet one, you know, sometimes when you're quiet and you're the wallflower, you don't get noticed. So I kind of did some things to get noticed, and I kid you not, I purposely would act up in her class just a little bit. Like, just I would stand up when I wasn't supposed to be standing up, and I would just be loud, occasionally be loud, and be like kind of banging on the desk a little bit just to try and get noticed. And she never yelled at me or anything. I was like, seriously? Hello, I'm still a student in your class. You should acknowledge all of us sometimes. But that ended because, you know, in high school, I totally got not acknowledged. High school. I had this teacher. She taught child development. And I'm not going to give her a nickname or anything because the reasons why she was the worst teacher I've ever had in my life, just the reasons are just, it's like a gazillion reasons basically why she was horrible. And that's a whole separate video on that teacher. Just, I'm gonna have to think, why was she bad? I actually yelled at her one time. I almost went off on yell at her. That was the first time in 12 years I'd ever yelled at a teacher, but it's like she had it coming. But Mr. Baldy, that'll be this guy's name, not a real teacher, just like Mr. Turtle. He just kind of subbed. But the problem with him was he didn't just sub. He subbed and he felt the need to actually teach. And it's just that he subbed for, what class was that? Like a history class. He was subbing in there and he was teaching. Didn't know any of the material, so it's like, why are you teaching? Subbed in psychology. Didn't know any of the material, so why are you teaching? And then he's grading. It's like, you can't teach and you're grading. It's like, why? He told us that he teaches on a college level, African American studies or something like that. And I'm like, I honestly do not believe that. Like, I even wrote right here, yeah, he must have lied about that, because there's no way you're actually teaching on a college level, because you can barely teach on a high school level. I'm just saying. But yeah, he was I felt as if it wasn't even all there. It like wasn't computing up here, you know, what you're supposed to be doing. I don't know. But people didn't like him. I didn't like him. It doesn't mean I still respected him, because he wasn't as horrible as the other teacher, who I'm not going to talk about. But it's just, you know, you're bad. And I heard that he got a lot of complaints about him, you know, like students complaining and parents complaining. So I'm wondering if he got fired. That would be really freaking good if he got fired, because you should not be a teacher. That's okay, because not everybody's made to teach. There are jobs out there for everybody, and his job is not teaching. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I have a bunch of other teachers listed here, but I'm not going to go through that list, or this video is going to be too long, and it's already long. So yeah, thank you for watching this video, me ranting about the bad teachers I've had, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.